Welcome to this lesson on statistics regression. Let's have a look at measures of central tendency. So let us recall what are the measures of central tendency. This is going to work for either grouped or ungrouped data. So by ungrouped data, we simply mean a discrete number of points that we are given. And for group data, we are analyzing frequencies within some sort of interval of points. Okay, so the three main measures of central tendency are as follows. We have the mean, which is sometimes called the expected value or the average. And this value of the data set is usually denoted by either x bar, which usually means a sample mean, or mu, which is the Greek letter mu, which usually means the population mean. Okay, but for mean in general, this is essentially the average value of your data. If you have ungrouped data, how you would do this, whatever data points you had, let's say you had x1, x2, x3, x4, and x5 as example of data points. They could be any type of numbers. Then the average would simply just be adding them all up and then dividing by the total number, in this case, 5 data points. All right, so that's the average value for ungrouped data. For grouped data, however, what you will have is you'll have a table which has your intervals, then you will have your frequency, and then you'll have what we call your cumulative frequency, which just means adding up the frequencies as you go along the interval. So your interval x could be between, as an example, 0 to 5, right? Then it could be from 5 to 10, and then 10 to 15, as an example. Then you would look at frequencies. The number of points that satisfy being in between 0 and 5 could be 10, then this could be 7, and this could be 3. Then the cumulative frequency, you would just add them up. So it'll be 10, then 10 plus 7 is 17, and 17 plus 3 is 20. So what you get from that is usually you'll get what we call a cumulative frequency graph, or sometimes called an ogive curve. And this curve is usually some sort of elongated S kind of shape. And finding the mean of data in grouped settings, there's a specific way to do it. And that'll be using the formula x bar equals. You essentially will look at each interval and you would find the midpoint. So from 0 to 5, the midpoint would be 2.5. And then you would multiply it by the frequency, which is 10 here. Then you would add the next one, the midpoints of 5 and 10, that would be 7.5. And then you multiply it by the frequency. And then you keep doing that until you arrive to the very last interval. So between 10 and 15.5, that would be 12.5. And then you multiply by the frequency 3, and then you divide by the cumulative frequency amount. So how much data you have in total, that is with 20 data points. So divided by 20. And that's the special way you would calculate mean for grouped data. So knowing the differences between ungrouped and grouped data with your measures of central tendency are very important. Okay, the median is another type of central tendency. So what does the median indicate? Well, if you're looking at ungrouped data, you have to always organize it in ascending order. So as an example, you could have 2, 2, 3, 5, 9, 10, and 15, right? Then your median is essentially the data points that lies in the middle when you arrange it in ascending order. So over here, we can see 5 is exactly in the middle. So there are 3 data points to the left, 3 data points to the right. If your data had an extra point, we will look at how you calculate that median value in the next lesson as well. All right, for the mode, this is the data point that occurs most frequently within the data set. And again, if you look at this example here, you can see the number 2 appears twice. Every other number just appears once. So we would say that the mode in that example is equal to 2. How does the median and mode look like in a grouped setting? Well, when you draw your ogive curve, the way you can work it out, the mode is just the interval that has the highest amount of frequency. So if you look at this example here, 10 is the highest frequency out of these 3. So the modal class, that's what we call it, the modal class of that data points is the interval x is greater than or equal to 0, less than 5. Okay, so you look for the highest frequency value. However, for median, what you'll do is, if this has 20 data points on your table, you will look for the average of 20, which is 10. So 10 there, if I come down, whatever interval that lies between, let's say, for example, it lied between 5 and 10. then we say that the median class is between 5 and 10. All right, so whichever is the average value for your cumulative frequency. Okay, so just knowing how to calculate these different measures of central tendency are going to be very important when we do different statistical problems. Awesome. I'll see you in the next one.